What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Twilight Imperium Junkies podcast. Today we are doing the Patreon poll winner episode, Winmaking. What's that all about? And we have a special guest on here today to talk all about it. Welcome, community legend, Big Al Cappuccino.
Kia ora, and kia ora, listeners. How are we today?
We are good. We are happy to have you, and we're happy to talk about some controversial subjects. So, Big Al, you've been around, some win-making culture for a while.
Mm-hmm.
How would you define win-making to kick us off?
I think at its heart, win-making is parking your own motivation to try win yourself and instead making that motivation for somebody else to win, quite simply. In a competitive game where you should be trying to win yourself at all times, when you stop trying to do that, I think we're into win-making.
Yeah, that's a great definition. But that in itself is kind of a big spectrum, wouldn't you say? There's a lot of things you can do to, say, aid another player's win, and sometimes it's not even win-making. So where do you draw the line, or where do you think people draw the line, if there even is a line?
So I think that there isn't a line, for me personally, as to a place we shouldn't cross. I think that this is a game, I think that this is a safe space, and I think so long as everybody beyond the table is consenting, in the game, on the board, above the table, we shouldn't really set lines. But I do think we need to recognize that there are degrees to which these things can become uncomfortable and have an adverse reaction or impact on our fellow players. I would say that passing a support for the final VP to a player who would otherwise not win is, let's just say the clearest definition of win-making. I would say at other times we do things that we consider deals and we believe are forwarding our own path more than it is the path of our fellow rival. And often our assessment in that calculation can be wrong and erroneous, and it turns out they win because of things we do. In which case, you guys coined this amazing phrase, stooging, and I think really it's a really great phrase for this conversation because we all strive to be a stooge master, but in doing so, we may well be being the ultimate stooge. And the shoe may indeed be on the other foot.
Absolutely. I mean, in a game of 6 players, 5 of the players are stooges that game. So one could say they are in different degrees participating in a collective win-make of that game's stooge master.
And in a beyond table sense, I think that's exactly what we do. We agree to sit down with 6 players to find one victor and effectively together win-make one person. That's what we agree to do. We then try to ensure that that person is us, but we're only successful a certain small proportion of the time. And that's why I'm saying I don't think there's a line we mustn't cross. I think that there are degrees of taboo, I'll use the word loosely, incestuous practices, that as we enter them, we need to appreciate that other people may not have signed up for that style of game, in the same way that win-slaying can be various degrees. Win-making, which arguably is just the other side of the same coin, win-slaying, win-making. I'm either win-slaying you or I'm win-making you, and I'm either win-slaying myself or I'm win-making myself at any time in the game, has these degrees of acceptability at a social level, and we'll use the word sporting or ethical level as well. But realistically, at the end of the day, it's what our fellow players and ourselves are prepared to abide and accept, or what we simply say we will not.
I totally see that. That is very eloquently put, and I really agree with your take and attitude on this. And I think that's why you and I have participated in such practices, I think, on both sides. Safe to say we've win-made people, maybe even quite explicitly, and the other way around, including each other in the past, actually.
Mm-hmm. I definitely think for myself, I'm a fantasist in this regard. I enjoy fantasizing and conceptualizing and mind palacing when making a lot more than I will actually engage with it in practice, for numerous reasons, and mostly that's about not leaving sour taste and bitterness in players' mouths at a table. But I also strongly try to encourage and influence tables to be open to the win-making aspects. Often in the late game, if I see an opportunity, for instance, for a Magi's Gambit, where we can effectively slay the leader who is going to win on the 1 or the 8, by second and third or fourth and fifth positions, entering into a gambit, even if it feels unsporting, it is a way to win. And I don't think this is a sports game. For many, it is a game of annihilation and, overcoming, mastering an entire race, so to speak. We should be open to these things. I don't always think, though, that you should go through with it, and I think you need to be very cautious about the repercussions of following through with win-making. But funnily enough, I often find my justification for engaging in win-making and following through with it has to do with people who have done actions through a game that I feel require a certain level of consequence. So often I will justify win-making or accepting a win-make based on other players' conduct and the win make being a consequence of those decisions.
Absolutely. Consequence and sometimes for me a reward. If I've had an ally or a stooge
Mm-hmm.
that's been really making my game a smooth sailing game, and then, I get slayed, for instance, or something happens and I'm for sure out of this game,
Mm-hmm.
I would love for my stooge to get a chance at the throne. I mean, isn't that the social relationship we've created this game?
Well, that's the ride or die philosophy, is where myself and yourself, for instance, say, let's be true to each other, let's one of us win, let's form a union, let us be stronger in our bond, in our union, let us divide and conquer as we work through this. And if it's not me, I want it to be you. And in that, there's something beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think, again, be mindful that you might be destroying the excitement and hopes and dreams of a player who's played a really hard fought on the board game, who has done everything their side of the galaxy and is about to win. But maybe me and you in the union can find a way to steal that from them, inverted commas, steal.
Yeah, I mean the new Ordinian scenario has an alliance team in it that is actually a 2v1v1v1, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it is a different setup there where
Mm-hmm.
you want to win make your someone else in the game actually. It's within the rules almost, which is interesting.
Yeah, so I think that the scale of Winmake does extend from simply doing a wash in round one all the way through to that 10th point, and it's different degrees, and we just as a table find ways to navigate how this makes us feel as human beings, as people, as a social recreation we choose to spend together, and ideally we do so in a way that we walk away, even if in the game on the board and above the table we can hate each other as rivals, we walk away and we enjoy a bit of time together, debriefing and coming together as a community again, so that we can play the following week.
Totally.
And I think we see this with tables such as the TI Junkies, such as yourselves, where you're playing so many games as a table, you actually can become comfortable engaging in these taboo practices, exploring the slightly more risque plays, moving away from tame and socially accepted middle grounds and exploring the slightly darker corners which this game allows for, and for me makes it special.
Yes, the chaos, especially at our TI Junkies table, is very exciting. And in fact, we'd played together for like very consistently for a couple of years before we got into playing with the online community and people outside of our group. So I remember kind of entering these online games, the Space Cats Peace Turtles tournament, and feeling like, oh my God, there's like a set rule of like standard regulations and what people consider okay, not okay, the meta, one might say. And that was a very interesting thing to experience because I always felt like, well, I've experienced Nathan in a game of TI, so I know that anything can happen, including your game is tanked by someone for no reason whatsoever at a random point when you don't see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's was for me part of the fun of TI and still is the fun of TI, like you're saying, the chaos, the mess, just the different flavors each game can bring and play groups can bring to their own table over time. I do, Big Al, want to talk a little bit more about the early game soft, slow trickle win make of what you'd like mentioned earlier, the wash, the ooh, I got an explorer, will you wash me? Sure.
Hmm.
That is like three destroyers. That's a round four fight with precision action phase win. Those tiny moments in round one, especially the, oh, here's the good timing for tech and warfare, and now you've followed everything, and your game's going to be more optimal, and you're going to be harder to slay in round five. That's, to me, the same. And that's where I kind of feel like where we see eye to eye in terms of there is no line. It's all a mush.
You also alluded to something earlier about somebody who you feel genuinely positive about when making them in the end. If not me, I would like you to win. This is where I talk about a people versus plastic game. And I appreciate some people focus on plastic, but for me, I will give away, let's call it on-board advantage in the early rounds to generate goodwill, which I might bank on in the late game. And for a lot of players, if they focus on a plastic game, a mechanical game, an on the board game, they can often get frustrated because they see me when making. Then in round one, I'll watch somebody for free when I really don't need to. And they'll say, why are you doing that? And I'll say, because I choose to, because I want to. And really, it's about a nice meta for me. There are other metas. There's metas where people team up and make somebody feel special. There's metas where people just seek out optimal optimization, play, min-maxing. But through all these actions on board, we're developing and fostering relationships above table that have value, that trust that you can break later or you can maintain, that cohesion that you can have give you a bit of momentum through. I really do appreciate that it is win making when it turns out you're the stooge. But at the same time, I've had it work out for me plenty times. And to me, that again is the special aspect of the game that if people are not exploring it, you should. It's not for everybody.
I totally agree. And that's kind of what happened in the game we played at Skilled Retreat last year, where I win made you,
Hmm.
is because I remember feeling two different vibes from my right side neighbor and you on my left side neighbor, where I was so afraid of the hammer coming down from my right and ending my entire game. There were giant fleets. They had the upper hand. It was really scary, really tense, and I had no reassurances from them. As opposed to you on my left side, you were washing me. I was derping, forgetting to score. You were loaning me money. You were making sure I was in it, to win it in the end. And there was just no doubt in my mind that it's like, well, I'm out now. Well, and who's it gonna be? This is the power I have left, and it was you.
For that specific game as well, I think it's important, even at that competitive level, and let's be honest, competitive play skews this a lot as well, because there's many people who would consider what they have done in a SCPT tournament, for instance, unsporting, they'll do it in a tournament. But I have a genuine desire that everybody at the table has fun. So beyond table, I want you to have a game. I want everybody to have a good game at the table. But I also appreciate that some people are having a good game by being aggressive and being antagonistic, and they love being the villain. And so that's fine. To your right, that side of the table definitely was playing a different style of game. They were not engaging in the nice meta. Aussies do tend towards a hell mode, not exclusively, but I still recall that in the status phase, because you denied me my final victory the round before. I had a action phase win the round, or status phase win the round before. You denied my secret skilled retreat, and good on you, because you were trying to win yourself. But you also gave the table the option during strategy phase, a deal that forwarded your game. And there was a consequence to, if the table chooses to slay me by not engaging in this deal during strategy phase, leaving cards, there will be consequences. And you also followed through with that, and it felt fitting. And exactly that is the feel of the situation sat well with you. You are not ashamed or full of shame or anything negative for what you did that game. You feel that it was a valid and fit and proper consequence for actions.
Yes, completely. And to make it more, poetic and ironic, what I needed from the table that strategy phase was if I public disgrace the person first in line to win and kind of like stop that and give the next person their only chance by getting Imperial, that person would give me their support if they didn't manage to win on the eight. But they actually had the philosophy of never giving a support for that final point. And so they decided they did not want their shot at winning on the principle of not quote unquote win making someone else. And so it is to me ironic that it's like, oh, well, we don't want to win make each other. All right, Al, you've been pretty cool. I'll do you. Woo.
And this is my point about if we say Twilight Imperium is like going to the Olympics, it's a sport, and you want to stand on principles. Yet I take the opinion that it's more like a Shakespearean tragedy, or some great. Well, it could have even been an episode of Whose Line Is It Anyway? I don't stand on those principles, buddy. Yeah, I can get the win right now. Yeah, I'll take it. And so again, I really understand why people can get frustrated with win making. But I'd also say to them that they should look at how they view the game is not the only way to view the game. And especially, I think, in competitive play, we see this a lot.
That is very wise and a perspective we really appreciate here at TI Junkies, and I hope the community as a whole, and kind of what I'm hoping we can kind of achieve with this podcast. Like we're telling people we're trying to untaboo the taboo a little bit, and we're saying, hey, we do still want to consider people's feelings above the board, but what happens on the board is all part of the game.
Yeah.
So long as we're not breaking the rules, it's all good.
It can get rough and tumble, but I'll go back to the Aussies. The Aussies do this very effectively. They do a Cobra Kai dojo. They will punch you in the groin. They will take no prisoners, but you're still rolling around on a mat with some people you choose to do this with, and you have a laugh, and you might have a bloody nose that you're nursing after the bout, but you enjoyed that bout together. And just because people are engaging in win making or are anti-win making, it doesn't mean that we're not doing this together. And I do think it's important to say that for me, I'm definitely somebody who likes talking about win making and exploring, as I say, these taboo practices. It doesn't mean you should be applying it in every game. It just means that variety is the spice of life.
Right.
And trying a Vindaloo, even though you like a little bit of korma, isn't going to hurt you from time to time.
Love that. Gotta mix it up. Keep everyone on their toes, Well, Big Al, thank you so much for joining me in this chat about, a topic near and dear to our hearts. Come into the Discord and ping us and fight us. Let us know why we're wrong. Let us know what you think. Or let us know, hey, yeah, maybe I've been a little harsh on the win make. It's all good now. And before we wrap up here, letting you guys know the next month's Patreon poll is up. And then that episode will be dropping after Thunder's Edge comes out. So we're going to do a little deep dive on one of the factions. Vote now on which faction that should be. Let us know. Thanks again, Big Al.
Thanks for having me.